Hi there, it's Jen. Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to be making this open top versatile gift bag. And there's a couple different ways you can finish this out. It's pretty versatile. You can finish it out with the handle, or you can finish it out with or you can just leave it actually just open on the top, or you can put a flap on the top. So what we're going to do is start out with a piece of cardstock that is 6 by 12. And the cardstock that I'm using today is actually double-sided. So the project that I've already made, my example, is just the reverse side of what we're doing today. Now for the flap, I'm actually using paper instead of cardstock. And this is the, I got it from Hobby Lobby. This is what I'm using. And although the flap size is 4 1/4 by 3, my piece is 8 1/2 by 3 because I'm doubling it over. Number one, so you can see the colored paper on both sides, and because it's thin. This is the paper that I'm using for the project, and I got it at Tuesday morning for a really good deal. Right here, I'm just showing you that I put a Post-it note on the bottom of the project just to remind myself, because it's important when you're scoring to make sure that you get the bottom. You're going to score the bottom, not the top. So you want to make sure you're scoring the right part of the project. And also, sometimes your pattern, your paper needs to go a certain way. So you're going to score on the 6-inch side at 1 inch down at the bottom. And then you're going to put the 12-inch side at the top of the scoreboard, and you're going to score at 1 1/2, 5 3/4, 7 1/4, and 11 1/2. I'm sorry, yes, 11 1/2. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in the handle since I have the scoreboard out. I am using the paper once again on the handle. So I'm going to kind of double this over, number one, so you don't see the white part, and then number two, to make it stronger. If you are using something like a cardstock or a heavier weight paper, then you can cut your handle at 1/2 inch by 8 inches. This happens to be 1 inch by 8 inches. But I'm going to score it and fold it over on itself. So I'm going to line it up. I'm going to score 1/4 inch on one side. So on my scoreboard, it's basically just 2 notches over. And then I'm going to score it at 3/8 inch on the other side, which is 3 notches over on my scoreboard. And then I'm going to just place the handle to the side, and we will come back to that here shortly. Okay, let's go ahead and grab our project and reinforce or burnish those scored lines that we've made. And I'm actually doing a voiceover today because I didn't realize how much my voice changes throughout the day. And I made the video in the morning and it sounded absolutely horrid. So I'm doing a voiceover for this video, so I hope it goes okay. There's only one little piece you have to cut out of this project, and it's down in the corner. It's the bottom of the 1/2 inch tab. So just go ahead and cut that out and get rid of that. And then I'm just going to cut up on the bottom score lines up to that, up to the next score line. So you're just making small cuts. I'm notching out on those flaps to eliminate some of the bulk at the bottom of the project. I usually try to do that on most of my projects. So this is what it looks like before you assemble it. If you are going to put some kind of a trim on it, I would recommend using paper like we did for the handle and the flap, only because it is thinner and it will eliminate more bulk on the top. If you try to put a piece of heavy cardstock on top of what the project you're already making, sometimes the corners get kind of bound up and it doesn't work out very well. So if you're going to do some kind of trim, I recommend using paper. So I'm grabbing my flap there. I'm going to lay some adhesive down and just kind of fold it over on itself to bring everything together. Then we'll flip it upside down and figure out which side is the back, which side is the front. I always make sure my seams are pointed towards the back. I'll lay some adhesive down on my front flap and then fold it over. Now, because these, the bottom flaps there don't go edge to edge, I go in with some kind of a device like the ruler this time and just press down to make sure that adhesive really sticks and it looks like it's in good shape. So now we're going to go ahead and install the flap, but because mine is paper and I'm doubling it up, all I'm doing here is opening up the 8.5 by 3-inch piece, and I'm just going to fold it over on itself so that our finished piece is 4.25 by 3. So depending on what, if you're using cardstock and, you don't need to double it over, then, like I said, your piece will be 4.25 by 3. I'm bringing my piece over to the scoreboard, and on the 3-inch side, I'm going to score it 1 inch and then 1.5. And that will allow for, just help us line up the flap. I'm going to lay some adhesive on that back part that we scored the 1-inch area. And that's going to go on the back of our box. So I'll line that up. I started out by trying to line it up on the back like this, and then I end up picking it up and doing it from the front so I can actually see the score line, the crease. So I get everything lined up in the back, and then I just press it down, and then you can fold it over, and you can kind of see, see as the flap comes together. Now, I took my index fingers and on the side of the box, just pressed in a little bit to kind of manipulate the box to get it to fold in. I'm going to bring in my corner rounder and round off the corners on the front of the flap. There are several different ways you can close this. You could use Velcro, magnets, you could glue it down if you wanted to permanently close it or something like that. I actually have these small little magnets, and so I'm going to hot glue them onto the project. Now, eventually, knowing what happens at the end, these magnets aren't strong enough to keep this flap closed, so it stays closed for a couple seconds and then pops open. But I don't figure that out until after I do it. So I'm going to go ahead and install the magnets, and then what I end up doing is wrapping some twine around the top of the flap. So right now I am assembling the other handle to my example project. I need to just fold in on those score lines that I made previously. I'm laying some adhesive down on both sides of the handle where I scored. And I'm just going to fold those in, and everything will come together. So once we get the back folded in on our handle, we're going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a curve with our finger, just to kind of break the fibers of the paper and get a curve made. I'm going to take some score tape and lay it down on the right side or the front side of my handle, about, 3/4 of an inch to an inch on either end. And I am using score tape because I really want it to stick. And the score tape is really, really good adhesive. You could also use glue, whatever your choice of adhesive is. So I'm just sticking the handles on the inside of the project this time and just pressing them down. And so both of those handles are now attached. Okay, so I went ahead and put the magnet on, but it will stay for a minute and then pop open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some twine here,